It is said that middle-aged marriage is bland, but Shang Ming Dan can't stand the bland. At the instigation of her bestie, she bought a set of sexy and hot lingerie. When she knelt at the door of her house in sexy lingerie waiting for her husband to come back late, it was her husband's subordinate who opened the door. My name is Shang Ming Dan. I am a university teacher. My husband and I are an old man and a young wife. I met my successful husband when I was in the prime of my life in college. He is humorous and funny. Although he is much older than me, he is mature unlike his peers. He fell in love with me at first sight and pursued me fiercely. Not long after, I got together with her, got married after graduation, and became an educated housewife. My classmates envy me for my smooth life and my excellent husband, but I am the only one who is full of bitterness in my heart. My husband is 48 years old this year, and I just turned 30. It is said that women are like wolves at 30 and tigers at 40. I am just as old as wolves and tigers. In the first few years of marriage with my husband, fortunately, she was not outstanding but useful. She had less and less interest in that aspect. No matter how I teased her, it was useless. My husband hadn't touched me for almost a year. I had secretly bought some special products online before which could solve some urgent problems, but as I used them more and more, those things were more like tickling to me, which made me feel hot and unbearable, and I was eager to vent. Every day I was in dire straits. I told my best IE about this, and on her recommendation, I went to a secret shop. The shop was not big, and it was full of pink-colored lights. There were many things I had never heard of in the shop. I looked at the strange bottles in front of me and didn't know where to start. A male clerk came up to me unrecommended enthusiastically. There were indeed many good things, but the clerk's eyes always made me feel uncomfortable. Under the clerk's fiery gaze, I bought a bottle of aphrodisiac incense and a set of lingerie with very little fabric. The clerk said that this aphrodisiac incense has a miraculous effect. Even a 60-year-old man can make him erect, and it is not harmful to the body, but be careful. Only one can be lit at a time, otherwise it may hurt your body. My husband is busy at work. Today is a team-building event. He called me in the afternoon and said he would be back later. It was almost 12 o'clock. I calculated the time, put on my underwear, and lit the aromatherapy. 10 minutes later, the air was filled with strange fragrance. The underwear could not cover my body at all. My cheeks were hot. This was the first time I tried such a bold outfit. I felt ashamed but indescribably excited. I knelt at the door waiting for Li Hao to come home. The fragrance was really extraordinary. In just a dozen minutes, my forehead was already oozing with fragrance wet. My body was even more full of blood and pee. I couldn't help but feel full of hope that this would be useful to my husband. The clock was almost 1 o'clock. Just when I was about to explode from the aromatherapy, there was finally a sound at the door. I quickly knelt down to show my most sexy side. With a click, the door opened, but it was not Li Hao who opened the door. I looked at the scene in astonishment, and the person at the door looked at me in shock. Li Hao was hanging unconscious on a tall man. I have met this man several times. He is Sun Xingnan, a college student who joined the company last year. I didn't know what to do for a while. Sister-in-law, mister. Li is drunk, I sent him back. Sun Xingnan looked away from me and said seriously. I quickly stood up and made way. Sun Xingnan helped Li Hao into the bedroom. I stood at the door at a loss, wishing I could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. Can I use the bathroom? Sun Xingnan settled Wang Hao down and stood at the door and asked me with his head down. I was sweating profusely, and the smell of young men's hormones was intoxicating. I suddenly realized that the smell was really deadly. How could I have such thoughts about other men? I led Sun Xingnan into the bathroom and hurriedly put on pajamas. I sat on the sofa feeling uneasy. Although I had no intersection with Sun Xingnan, I felt awkward when he saw me like this. What he said something nonsense in the company. The sound of flushing sounded, and I retracted my thoughts. Sun Xingnan walked out of the bathroom. It was the first time I looked seriously at this man, who was 4 or 5 years younger than me. He did not look like a handsome guy in the traditional sense. He must be eyebrows and eyes, with strong northern characteristics, tall and sturdy, and his shirt can't hide his strong muscles. If I were with such a man, I could go back to 20 years old. Sister-in-law, your house is so clean. Sun Xingnan's breathing was a little rapid, and his face was flushed unnaturally. Oh no, I forgot to put out the incense. What did Sun Xingnan eat when he was laughing? I was a little anxious. The incense would come up soon, but what should I do? That little Sun, it's too late today. Didn't you go back first? Sun Xingnan looked at me deeply and took out a box of chocolates from his coat pocket. It was a gift from the restaurant for the team building of my sister-in-law's company. It was I took the chocolates and my fingers accidentally touched Sun Xingnan's. His fingers were rough and hot. I was fat and quickly separated them. Sister-in-law, your hands are so slippery. I looked at Sun Xingnan in shock. What was he talking about? He also looked surprised and waved his hands in panic to explain. I didn't know how I said it. Sun Xingnan's silly look made me laugh. I didn't mean to blame him. I was almost unable to control myself in this situation, not to mention that he was a young man full of vigor and vitality. Sister-in-law, try it. I took out a piece and put it in my mouth. The sweet aroma of chocolate filled my mouth. Okay, you should go back quickly. It's too late and unsafe. Sun Xingnan left me at this time. He extinguished the incense after he went out. In the bedroom, Li Hao slept like a dead dog, snoring like thunder. I sat on the sofa inside helplessly. It seemed that I couldn't sleep tonight again. The fire in my body could not be extinguished. I took out the wing utensils from the kitchen and drank a glass of red wine. I couldn't help feeling sad for myself. How can marriage without sex continue? I'm only 30 years old and it has to be like this. What should I do in the years to come? I wiped the tears from my face, but heard movement at the door. I picked up a fruit knife from the coffee table and tiptoed to the entrance. At the entrance, I was stunned. Sun Xingnan actually came back. Why are you back? Sun Xingnan scratched his head. Sister-in-law, I took away Mr. Li's key, and he held Li Hao's key in his hand. I let down my guard and put the fruit knife aside. I walked to the door and was about to take the key, but my hand was wrapped by a pair of big hands. Sun Xingnan took the key and pulled me into his arms. I felt like I was stabbed, and my hands struggled back and forth, but he subdued me with an embrace and pressed me against the shoe cabinet. Sun Xingnan, don't. What do you want to do? I was powerless to push him away. After hearing my voice, he became more excited and hugged me tightly. The heat that had just been suppressed was instantly ignited, and it felt even more serious than before. What, you are still in the room? And I shouted in a low voice. Sun Xingnan suddenly hugged me, staring at me with fiery eyes. Sister-in-law, I know that Mr. Li can't satisfy you. You are such a beautiful woman, but you can only wither at home. Don't you think it's a pity I am young and strong? I can definitely satisfy you. I promise not to tell others. Sun Xingnan's words seemed to add fuel to the fire. I no longer had the strength to struggle and collapsed in his arms. Waves of lust rushed from the soles of my feet to my scalp, making me unable to control myself and stand. No, I can't betray. Li Hao's remaining rationality made me say my last struggle. But at this time my face was red, and the words I said in Sun Xingnan's arms were more like cocytus. Sun Xingnan's hand reached into my pajamas and said, Sister-in-law, just treat it as a dream. I promise it will only happen this time. I will leave when I'm done. Mr. Li will never find out. Sun Nan picked me up and threw me on the bed in the second bedroom, then bullied me. I smelled the masculine scent on his body, and my body couldn't help but want to get closer. Jingna, no, you continue, I shouted. The man on my body suddenly stiffened, and Sun Xing distanced himself from me, staring at me with a pair of deep eyes. After a moment, my body relaxed and Sun Xingnan let go. I don't know why, actually had an indescribable sense of loss. Sun Xingnan's head was covered with sweat, and it was obvious that he was also trying his best to endure it. I'm sorry, sister-in-law, I don't know what happened. I know he did it because of Xiang. I'm leaving now. If he leaves like this, I'm afraid something will happen on the way. The moment Sun Xingnan turned around, I grabbed his sleeve for no reason. He looked back at me blankly with ecstasy in his eyes. Sister-in-law, you. Seeing that Sun Xingnan couldn't speak clearly, I laughed out loud. I stood up, my soft and white arms swayed against his broad shoulders. I stood in front of him and had to start. Sun Xingnan was really young and strong, and he kept going until dawn. When I woke up, there was no one around me. I lay on the bed, and my whole body and every pore were filled with satisfaction as if I had rejuvenated overnight, and my body was lighter than ever before. I stood under the shower, recalling what happened last night. When I came out of the bathroom, my body was weak again. My husband was still sleeping in the bedroom. I looked at his sleeping face and felt guilty. I cooked a table of delicious dishes and a rushing soup. When I was busy in the kitchen, my husband suddenly hugged me from behind and said, "I'm sorry, wife, I drank too much last night." I felt guilty and didn't dare to look at him directly. I quickly asked him to go undressed, but he insisted on staying with me in the kitchen. I was busy at the stove and he sat behind me. When all the dishes were done, my panicked palms were soaked with sweat. When the dishes were served, my husband stared at me and suddenly said, "Wife, is there something wrong with you? Why are you so nice to me today?" I was shocked and quickly lowered my head to serve the soup to hide my pain. You work so hard every day. I'm your wife, so of course I have to treat you better. It's okay, it's okay. Although Li Hao was a little surprised, he didn't doubt it. After dinner, my husband sat on the sofa watching TV while I was washing dishes in the kitchen. "Wife, where did this chocolate come from? It's bad. I forgot to put away the chocolate that Sun Xing Nan gave me last night." I looked towards the living room, and my husband ate several with gusto. I walked over and quickly put them away. "Don't you know you have diabetes? You can't eat such sweet things." She saw me put them away and felt a little unsatisfied. My husband didn't work in the afternoon, and he stayed at home and stuck to me. What I didn't expect was that he was in a good mood today and dragged me around for a while. I felt strange because even if he was in a good mood, he didn't stay for so long. After the meal, my husband seemed to be hollowed out. His lips were pale, and he lay motionless on the bed, muttering that he was getting old and his body really couldn't keep up. At dinner, Sun Xingnan actually came to the door. She went into the study with her husband. I didn't know what they talked about, and I was waiting outside anxiously. The door of the study opened, and Sun Xingnan came out first, and my husband asked him to stay for dinner. At the dinner table, my husband said that the company had some minor problems recently, and he had to go on a business trip for a while. I breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, my husband didn't notice anything unusual. At the dinner table, Sun Xingnan and I pretended that nothing had happened, and he didn't threaten me with what happened last night. On the third day of my husband's business trip, I met Sun Xing and downstairs at home. He followed me all the way home. I acquiesced in my heart. We were like dry firewood and raging fire. The moment we got home, she said that she had no interest in other women since the last time. I was in her mind every day. I didn't know whether what she said was true or false, but women always like to hear sweet words and gradually indulge in them. We agreed to end this relationship after my husband came back from his business trip. I completely released my nature and had tossing with Sun Xing Man for several hours every day. Sun Xing Man, unmarried, said sweet words in bed. After each time, I would take the initiative to pay him a fee, which was also a peace of mind. But I always felt uneasy in my heart. Although I did this, I felt that I still loved my husband in my heart. Now I finally understand the mood of a man when he cheats. On one side is a lover, and on the other side is a lover. I keep struggling between reality and delusion, and I am in a dilemma. However, my body has been satisfied recently. I gradually feel that I've become younger, my emotions are more stable, and I have more hope in life. My best friend Ru Olin invited me to afternoon tea that day. As soon as we met, she praised me for being more beautiful. She looked curious. "Are the things in that store good?" My face changed. It would have been fine if she didn't mention it. Once she mentioned it, I remembered the embarrassment and absurdity of that day, as well as the dilemma I had recently fallen into. I won't go to such a store in the future. Ru Olin kept asking questions, and I made up an excuse to deal with it. She was a little strange today. Although we always gossiped together, she would never ask so many questions about my private life in the past. Ru Olin is 30 years old this year, has never been married, and has a monthly salary of several thousand yuan. Normally, she would never invite me to such an expensive coffee shop for afternoon tea. She generously paid nearly 1,000 yuan for the meal, which made me even more strained. After separating from her, I unconsciously turned to that private shop. When I came to my senses, I had already entered the store. "Hello, welcome." The person who greeted me was a middle-aged woman, and she was the only one in the whole store. The elder sister talked in a relaxed and humorous manner, which made me completely free of the shame and tension I felt last time. The last time I came here, a male clerk greeted me. Why is it you today? The woman's eyelids were slightly surprised. That's the clerk I hired. That guy was also strange. He quit after working for 1 day, didn't want the salary, and took away a box of chocolates. The elder sister said, taking out a box from the counter. The packaging was exactly the same as the one Sun Xingnan gave me that day. I was stunned. Wasn't that day strange? I remembered that, after eating chocolate, my body became even hotter. By the way, my husband also ate that box of chocolate. Thinking back to that day, my husband was suddenly in high spirits. She usually took less than 10 minutes, but that day it took almost half an hour. Elder sister, does this chocolate have any side effects? The elder sister looked at the instructions and said that it is best to eat one piece at a time. If you eat too much, you will easily feel weak afterwards, but it will not harm your body. My heart is getting heavier and heavier. Isn't this a symptom my husband has afterwards? There must be something wrong with the chocolate Sun Xingnan gave me. But what about that employee? How did Sun Xingnan know that I was coming here? Only Ruola knows about this. This matter is not simple, but it has happened. I don't want to pursue it too much at this time, but I must break up with Sun Xingnan as soon as possible. My husband has been on a business trip for a month. He called back 2 days ago and said that he would be back in a I never asked about the company's affairs, but this time my husband took the initiative to mention that the company had some difficulties, which might be a big problem. He and I are husband and wife. If there is really a problem in the company, we must face it together. After making up my mind, I bought the box of chocolates and invited Sun Xingnan to my house. As soon as Sun Xingnan came in, he rushed to me in a hurry. I suppressed my anger and pushed him away. What's the hurry? I have something to tell you today. I asked Sun Xingnan to sit on the sofa and brought out the cake and tea I made with chocolate from the kitchen. You can try what I just learned. Sun Xingnan took the cake and ate it with big mouthfuls without doubt. I asked him to watch TV while I cleaned up in the kitchen and secretly observed him. Not long after, Sun Xiangtian unbuttoned his shirt and the cup of tea was already empty. Sister-in-law, you are not well yet. Sun Xingnan's face flushed and his breathing became heavier. This is the same as my husband that day. I added 6 pieces of ingredients to the cake. Just when I was lost in thought, Sun Xingnan came over and hugged me. Men are extremely powerful at this time, and I didn't resist anymore. I thought to myself, let it be the last time my body is satisfied. Sun Xingnan was extremely eager and couldn't help it in the kitchen. She kept tossing and turning until dark before getting off me. I looked at her lying powerlessly on the bed, and I inexplicably felt a sense of pleasure of revenge in my heart. Xiao Sun, let's not contact each other in the future. Sun Xingnan wanted to touch my hand but didn't raise it. Sister-in-law, you can't put on your pants and deny people. He is still in the mood to joke with me at this time. I looked serious, and Sun Xingnan reacted with grievance on his face. What did I do wrong? Are you dissatisfied with me? I took out my mobile phone and transferred 50,000 yuan to him, thinking about parting ways in peace. I already know what you have done. You can take this money to replenish your body, and let's part ways in peace. Sun Xingnan was stunned for a moment. Sister-in-law, what are you talking about? I really like you. Sun Xingnan pretended not to understand, which made me upset. I have been very kind to him. What else does he want? I said sternly. You know what kind of chocolate you gave me that day. Is my going to that store related to you? Sun Xingnan suddenly propped me up after hearing this. I was frightened by his action. You bitch, you dare to drug me? I had never seen him like this before. I was a little scared for a moment, forced myself to confront him. After I finished speaking, I suddenly laughed again. Sister-in-law, don't pretend to be so noble. You went to that store voluntarily. You are not a chaste woman. Don't be a whore and pretend to be a saint. Sun Xingnan's words were merciless and stung me to death. Tears of grievance flowed unconsciously. Yes, even if I was drugged, I was willing to do it that day. Who can I blame? Sun Xingnan hugged me and said, Sister-in-law, I know you are usually lonely. Just pretend that you don't know about this. I can still satisfy you. I really like your body. Sun Xingnan is weak now and his strength is not as strong as mine. I pushed him to the ground with all my strength. Tell me, what do you and Drew Olin want? Seeing that I said it so frankly, Sun Xingnan no longer pretended. He stood up and looked at me with regret. 5 million, this is my condition. Ru Olin, I don't know. 5 million, even if all the money my husband gave me over the years is added together, it is not 5 million. The company has recently encountered a crisis, and it is even more impossible for my husband to give me such a large sum of money. I was amazed that he dared to ask for so much. Impossible. I don't have so much money. But he smiled maliciously. He took out his mobile phone and played a video in front of me. The video was the scene of us making love, and she actually secretly recorded it. The worst thing is that I also said a lot of dirty words in the video. Comparing my husband with her, if my husband saw it, he would never let me go. Sun Xingnan said, give me 10 days at most, and if I can't come up with the money, send the video to the company group. I hate myself for being so stupid and being fooled so easily. Sun Xingnan, not long after I left, I received a call from Ru Olin. I loudly asked Ru Olin why she treated me like this. She didn't say anything on the phone, but gave me an address and asked me to find him. The address was a coffee shop we always went to when we were in school. When I sorted out my mood and went out to see Ru Olin, she was drinking coffee. I felt strange when we met last time. Why was he so generous? I looked at his clothes. They were not expensive brands, but the total cost of this outfit was more than 10,000. It turned out that his change was all because of me. Xiao, you are here. I resisted the urge to pour coffee on her head and sat down to listen to Sun Xingnan and me. You know everything? I whispered. We have been friends for so many years. I think I treat you well. Why do you treat me like this? Ru Olin smiled sinisterly. I treat you well. If it weren't for you, Li Hao would definitely be with me. What does this have to do with my husband, Li Hao? I obviously knew him first, and we both had dinner together, but when he came to the school to find me, why did he meet you? I had no idea about that. Ru Olin and I were roommates in a dormitory in college. Before I met Li Hao, he said he was in contact with a big boss, but I never thought it would be Li Hao. Why is your life so smooth? You became the wife of a CEO right after graduation, while I have been neither high or low in these years, and I am still not married at the age of 30. Ru Olin has been picky over the years. I introduced a few to her, but she either thought they were not good looking. Now I must let Li Hao know what kind of woman you are. I still couldn't control myself and splashed the coffee on her face. Ru Olin was stunned, as if she didn't expect me to be so bold. I picked up my handbag and turned to leave. Ru Olin screamed behind me. Things have reached a dead end. I can't take out 5 million. Even if I can, Ru Olin is a time bomb. After this compromise, she will definitely ask me for money continuously. I can't hurt my husband. My husband will be back in 3 days. I have to prepare everything I need in the next few days. That day, my husband finally came back from his business trip. I hadn't seen him for more than a month, and he looked thinner and darker before he left. I looked at his tired face, feeling guilty. She worked day and night, but I was at home hanging out with Sun Xingnan. I sent messages to Sun Xingnan and Drew Olin, asking them to come to my house to get the money. I accompanied my husband to finish his last meal outside, and when I got home, I fed her the antihypertensive medicine in advance. Not long after I got home, the doorbell rang. It was Sun Xingnan. She came into the house and saw her husband, and was obviously stunned with a gloomy face. Wife, why did you call Zhao Sun? I straightened my skirt and said calmly, someone else will come in a while, and I had something to announce. Sun Xingnan kept winking at me secretly, and I sneered in my heart. The man who was so ferocious in front of me didn't even dare to breathe in front of my husband. In less than 10 minutes, the doorbell rang again, and Ru Olin appeared at the door of the house in a gorgeous outfit. He took off his sunglasses and put them in his bag. What can't be said on the phone? I smiled gently and said, let's talk about it in person. Come in. Ru Olin was obviously surprised when she saw Sun Xingnan and her husband. I motioned her to sit down. The scene was more awkward than ever, but I didn't care. Today was the time to solve these things. I took out a stack of documents and put them on the table. The divorce agreement was clearly written on the documents. I knelt in front of my husband and said, Husband, let's get a divorce. My husband's face turned pale instantly. Wife, why is it so sudden? What's wrong with you? I lowered my head and didn't dare to look into his eyes. I'm sorry, my husband. I have done something that cannot be tolerated. I feel ashamed to be with you again. My husband already knew this would happen, but I was still heartbroken and couldn't control my tears. My husband helped Sun Xingnan and drew Olin up beside me. His face was ugly. I didn't see what I wanted to do. Husband, during the time you were away on business, I was with Sun Xingnan. Ru Olin lured me to by the incense. She and Sun Xingnan colluded. Sun Xingnan rubbed me and I couldn't control myself. This is mainly my fault. I told them everything. When I finished, the three of them looked different. My husband's face was livid and his veins were bulging. Sun Xingnan and Ru Olin were panicked and looked around. After I finished speaking in one breath, I felt relieved. This matter could no longer be concealed. There was no point in continuing to cover it up. Li Hao should have the right to know. It would be better for him if I told him now, so that he would not be embarrassed if Sun Xingnan really exposed it. Li Hao finally signed the agreement. I didn't want any of his things and left the house with nothing. I have been unfaithful to my marriage. I can't make the same mistake again. People should pay the price for what they have done. The moment I came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I felt more relaxed than ever. I bowed to Li Hao. Li Hao looked at me deeply, said nothing, and left. The sky was bright and beautiful. I took a deep breath. It was the smell of freedom. That I'm not homeless. Before marriage, my parents bought me a small apartment, and I also have a private money, but in fact, I also have my own plans. I am only 30 years old now, and Li Hao can no longer satisfy me. My wonderful life should have just begun. There are still so many days to come, and I don't want to spend my life with a useless man. Moreover, Li Hao already has an unpleasant smell, which is what people call the smell of old people. Although it is light, it always gives me a headache when I sleep at night. Thinking carefully, I love Li Hao, but I love myself more. After experiencing Sun Xingnan, I discovered the good of young men, which can make me return to the happiness of 18. After completing the divorce, I handed over the evidence collected by Sun Xingnan and Ru Olin into the police. When I followed the police to the door, Sun Xingnan was arguing with Ru Olin. They were in an old and dilapidated rental house. Ru Olin was beaten, blackmailed, and swollen, without any of his former spirit. I remembered that Ru Olin had quit his job before, and Sun Xingnan was also fired by Li Hao. One of them is a college student who just graduated a year ago, and the other has no savings. They used my money to live a luxurious life some time ago. It is easy to go from frugality to luxury, but it is difficult to go from luxury to frugality. Sun Xingnan has Ru Olin's handle, so he is naturally unscrupulous. I don't sympathize with Ru Olin. It's impossible to get the skin of a tiger, but I don't know if it's a blessing in disguise. Sun Xingnan and Ru Olin were arrested, and the police found evidence in their mobile phones. Less than a year later, I heard that Li Hao's company collapsed. Li Hao owed a lot of money, and he ran away a long time ago. I smiled after hearing this and leaned on my new boyfriend. So it's said that it's a blessing in disguise.